Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Staff Engineer's Path, a guide for individual contributors navigating growth and change, by Tanya Reilly, narrated by Wendy Tremont King. Publisher's note: this audiobook has bonus material. Please contact whomever you purchased this audiobook from to request the material. All figures, tables, sections, etc. referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Foreword. When I wrote The Manager's Path in 2016, I had many goals. I wanted to share lessons I had learned growing up as a manager. I wanted to show those who were interested in becoming managers what the job would be like. And I wanted to force a reckoning across the industry that we needed to expect more from our managers, and that the managers we were currently promoting often did not have the right balanced focus of people, process, product, and technical skills to do the job well. In short, I wanted to correct what I saw as a cultural failing in tech, to both take management seriously as a critical role and to discourage it from being the default path for ambitious engineers who want to grow their careers. I would say that I partially succeeded. Every time someone tells me they read my book and decided not to become a manager, I do a little victory dance. From that perspective, at least some people read my book and realize that this path isn't for them. Unfortunately, the alternative path of career growth for the individual contributor, the Staff Plus Engineering path, has lacked a similar guidebook. This lack has led to many choosing to follow the management path, despite knowing they would rather not have the responsibility for larger and larger groups of people, because they cannot see another way forward. This is a great frustration for engineers and managers alike. Most managers want to have more strong Staff Plus engineers in their organizations, but don't know how to cultivate them. And many engineers want to stay on that path, but see no realistic options beyond going into management. One of the core challenges of the Staff Plus engineering path is the unspoken expectation that part of being qualified to be on that path is figuring out how to climb it without much in the way of directions. If you were destined to be a Staff Plus engineer, conventional wisdom argues, you would figure out how to get there yourself. Needless to say, this is a frustrating and bias-ridden approach to career development. As more and more companies realize the need for Staff Plus engineers, we as an industry cannot afford to maintain a mysticism about the Staff Plus engineering career path that ignores the underlying skills that lead to successful technical leaders. With this in mind, you can imagine how thrilled I felt when Tanya Reilly came up with a proposal for a book about career growth as a staff engineer, filling in the missing half of the career ladder that my book left unexplored. I know Tanya from her writing and speaking about technical leadership, and it is obvious that she wants to correct the cultural failings of the tech industry's approach to Staff Plus engineering in the same way that I wanted to correct the cultural failing in the tech industry's approach to management. Namely, Tanya wants to address the over-focus on coding and technical contributions, and the lack of clarity around the skills that allow strong engineers to become successful multipliers without needing to manage people. In this book, Tanya has stepped up to the task of articulating these underlying skills that are so crucial for successful Staff Plus engineers. She provides a framework that shows how, using the pillars of big-picture thinking, execution, and leveling up others, you can build impact that goes beyond your individual, hands-on contributions. Reflecting the multifaceted nature of the Staff Plus engineering path, Tanya does not try to dictate the precise mix of skills needed at each level above senior engineer. Instead, she wisely focuses on how to build out these pillars from wherever you are today. From developing technical strategy, to leading big projects successfully, and going from mentor to organizational catalyst. This book takes you through these critical pillars and shows how to increase your impact on the success of your company beyond writing code. There's only one person in the driver's seat of your career, and that person is you. Figuring out your career path is one of the great opportunities and challenges of your life. And the earlier you accept that it's up to you, plus a heaping dose of luck, the better set you are to navigate the working world. This guidebook shows you the skills you'll need on the Staff Plus path, and it's an essential addition to every engineer's library. Camille Fournier, author, The Manager's Path. Editor, 97 Things Every Engineering Manager Should Know. Managing Director, J.P. Morgan Chase. Board Member, ACMQ. New York, New York, September 2022. Introduction. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? The classic interview question is the adult equivalent of what do you want to be when you grow up? It has some socially acceptable answers and a long enough time horizon that you don't need to commit. But if you're a senior software engineer looking to keep growing in your career, the question becomes very real. Where do you see yourself going? 2 paths. You may find yourself at a fork in the road. Figure P2 in the bonus material. 2 distinct paths stretching ahead. On one, you take on direct reports and become a manager. On the other, you become a technical leader without reports, a role often called staff engineer. If you really could see 5 years ahead on both of these paths, you'd find that they have a lot in common. They lead to many of the same places, and the further you travel, the more you'll need many of the same skills. But at the start, they look quite different. The manager's path is clear and well-traveled. Becoming a manager is a common and perhaps default career step for anyone who can communicate clearly, stay calm during a crisis, and help their colleagues do better work. Most likely, you know people who have chosen this path. You've probably had managers before, and perhaps you have opinions about what they did right or wrong. Management is a well-studied discipline, too. The words promotion and leadership are often assumed to mean becoming someone's boss, and airport bookshops are full of advice on how to do the job well. So if you set off down the management path, it won't be an easy road, but you'll at least have some idea of what your journey will be like. The staff engineer's path is a little less defined. While many companies now allow engineers to keep growing in seniority without taking on reports, this technical track is still muddy and poorly signposted. Engineers considering this path may have never worked with a staff engineer before, or might have seen such a narrow set of personalities in the role that it seems like unattainable wizardry. It's not. It's all learnable. The expectations of the job vary across companies and even within a company. The criteria for hiring or promoting staff engineers can be vague and not always actionable. Often the job doesn't become clearer once you're in it. Over the last few years, I've spoken with staff engineers across many companies who weren't quite sure what was expected of them. as well as engineering managers who didn't know how to work with their staff engineer reports and peers. All of this ambiguity can be a source of stress. If your job's not defined, how can you know whether you're doing it well or doing it at all? Even when expectations are clear, the road to achieving them might not be. As a new staff engineer, you might have heard that you're expected to be a technical leader, make good business decisions, and influence without authority. But how? Where do you start? The pillars of staff engineering. I understand that feeling. Through 20 years in the industry, I've stayed on the staff engineer's path, and I'm now a senior principal engineer, parallel to a senior director on my company's career ladder. While I've considered the manager's path many times, I've always concluded that the technical track work is what gives me energy and what makes me want to come to work in the morning. I want to have time to dig into new technologies, deeply understand architectures, and learn new technical domains. You get better at whatever you spend time on, and I've consistently wanted to keep getting better at technical things. Earlier in my career, though, I struggled to make sense of this path. As a mid-level engineer, I didn't understand why we had levels above senior. What did those people do all day? I certainly couldn't see a path to those roles from where I was. Later, as a new staff engineer, I discovered unspoken expectations and missing skills I didn't know how to describe, much less act on. Over the years, I've learned from many projects and experiences, both successes and failures, as well as from phenomenal colleagues and peers in other companies. The job makes sense now, but I wish I'd known then what I know now. If you've taken the staff engineer path or are considering it, welcome. This book is for you. If you work with a staff engineer or manage one and want to know more about this emerging role, there'll be a lot here for you, too. In the next 9 chapters, I'm going to share what I've learned about how to be a great staff engineer. I'll warn you right now that I'm not going to be prescriptive about every topic or answer every question. A great deal of the ambiguity is inherent to the role, and the answer is very often, it depends on the context. But I'll show you how to navigate that ambiguity, understand what's important, and stay aligned with the other leaders you work with. I'll unpack the staff engineer role by looking at what I think of as its 3 pillars: big picture thinking, execution of projects, and leveling up the engineers you work with. Big picture thinking. Big picture thinking means being able to step back and take a broader view. It means seeing beyond the immediate details and understanding the context that you're working in. It also means thinking beyond the current time, whether that means initiating year-long projects, building software that will be easy to decommission, or predicting what your company will need in 3 years. Execution. At the staff level, the projects you take on will become messier and more ambiguous. They'll involve more people and need more political capital, influence, or culture change to succeed. Leveling up. Every increase in seniority comes with more responsibility for raising the standards and skills of the engineers within your orbit. Whether that's your local team, colleagues in your organization, or engineers across your whole company or industry. This responsibility will include intentional influence through teaching and mentoring, as well as the accidental influence that comes from being a role model. We can think of these 3 pillars as supporting your impact, like in figure P2. You'll notice that these pillars sit on a solid foundation of technical knowledge and experience. This foundation is critical. Your big picture perspective includes understanding what's possible and having good judgment. When executing on projects, your solutions will need to actually solve the problems they set out to solve. When acting as a role model, your review comments should make code and designs better. And your opinions need to be well thought out. You need to be right. Technical skills are the foundation of every staff engineer role, and you'll keep exercising them. But technical knowledge is not enough. Success and growth at this level means doing more than you can do with technical skills alone. To become adept at big-picture thinking, execute on bigger projects, and level up everyone around you, you're going to need humaning skills, like communication and leadership, navigating complexity, putting your work in perspective, mentorship, sponsorship, and delegation, framing a problem so that other people care about it, acting like a leader, whether you feel like one or not. Think of these skills like the flying buttresses you see on Gothic cathedrals, as in figure P3 of the bonus PDF. They don't replace the walls or your technical judgment, but they allow the architect to build taller, grander, more awe-inspiring buildings. Each of the 3 pillars has a set of required skills, and your aptitude for each of them will vary. Some of us may be in our element when leading and finishing big projects, but find it intimidating to choose between 2 strategic directions. Others may have strong instincts for understanding where the company and industry are going, but lose control of the room quickly when managing an incident. Still others may boost the skills of everyone they work with, but struggle to build consensus around a technical decision. The good news is that all of these skills are learnable, and you can become adept at all 3 pillars. This book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, the big picture. In Part 1, we'll discuss how to take a broad strategic view when thinking about your work. Chapter 1 will begin by asking big questions about your role. What's expected of you? What are staff engineers for? In Chapter 2, we'll zoom out further and get some perspective. We'll talk about your work in context, navigate your organization, and uncover what your goals are. Finally, in Chapter 3, we'll discuss adding to the big picture by creating a technical vision or strategy. Part 2, execution. Part 2 gets tactical and moves on to the practicalities of leading projects and solving problems. In Chapter 4, we'll talk about choosing what to work on. I'll share techniques for how to decide what to spend time on, how to manage your energy, and how to spend your credibility and social capital in a way that doesn't diminish it. In Chapter 5, I'll discuss how to lead projects that stretch across teams and organizations, setting them up for success, making the right decisions, and keeping information flowing. Chapter 6 will discuss navigating the obstacles you'll meet along the way, celebrating a project that finishes successfully, and retrospecting, but still celebrating, if it's canceled and cleanly shut down. Part 3, leveling up. Part 3 is about leveling up your organization. Chapter 7 will talk about raising everyone's game by modeling what a great engineer acts like, how to learn out loud, and how to build a psychologically safe culture. We'll determine how to be the adult in the room during an incident or a technical disagreement. Chapter 8 is about more intentional forms of raising your colleagues' skills, like teaching and coaching, design review, code review, and making cultural change. Finally, Chapter 9 will explore how to level up yourself, how to keep growing, and how to think about your career. Where do you go after your current role? I'll discuss some options. One warning before we go further. This is a book about staying on the technical track. It is not a technical book. As I've said, you need a solid technical foundation to become a staff engineer. This book won't help you get that. Technical skills are domain-specific, and if you're here, I'm assuming that you already have, or are setting out to learn, whatever specialized skills you need in order to be one of the most senior engineers in your domain. Whether technical for you means coding, architecture, UX design, data modeling, production operations, vulnerability analysis, or anything else. Almost every domain has a plethora of books, websites, and courses that will support you. If you're someone who thinks that technical skills are the only ones that matter, you're unlikely to find what you're looking for in here. But ironically, you might also be the person who'll get the most from this book. No matter how deep or arcane your technical knowledge, you'll find that work gets less annoying when you can persuade other people to adopt your ideas. Level up the engineers around you, and breeze through the organizational gridlock that slows everyone down. Those skills aren't easy to learn, but I promise they're all learnable, and I'll do my best in this book to show the way. Do you want to be a staff engineer? It's fine not to aspire to more senior engineering roles. It's also fine to move to the manager track or go back and forth, or to stay at the senior level doing work you enjoy. But if you like the idea of helping achieve your organization's goals and continuing to build technical muscle while making the engineers around you better at their craft, then read on. O'Reilly Online Learning. For more than 40 years, O'Reilly Media has provided technology and business training, knowledge, and insight to help companies succeed. Our unique network of experts and innovators share their knowledge and expertise through books, articles, and our online learning platform. O'Reilly's online learning platform gives you on-demand access to live training courses, in-depth learning paths, interactive coding environments, and a vast collection of text and video from O'Reilly and 200+ other publishers. For more information, visit OREILLY.com, O'Reilly.com. How to contact us. Please address comments and questions concerning this book to the publisher, O'Reilly Media Incorporated, 1005 Gravenstein Highway North, Sebastopol, California, 95472. 800-998-9938 in the United States or Canada. 707-829-0515, international or local. 707-829-0104, fax. We have a web page for this book where we list errata, examples, and any additional information. You can access this page at oreil.staff-eng-path. Email bookquestions@o'reilly.com to comment or ask technical questions about this book. For news and information about our books and courses, visit O'Reilly.com. Find us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/company/O'Reilly-media. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/O'Reilly-media. Watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/O'Reilly-media. Thank you to the people who drink afternoon tea. You demonstrate the power of community every day. Thanks to everyone on the Staff Principal Engineering channel on RAND's Leadership Slack for being relentlessly supportive and for sharing your experiences with humility. Huge appreciation to my colleagues at Squarespace and to the Google SRE diaspora. I've learned a ton from you all. And I want to thank Ruth Yarnett, Rob Smith, Mariana Vallette, and the whole Lead Dev crew for the incredible technical leadership content they've shared with the world. Thanks for what you do. Thank you to the Hill folks, including that very good dog. I'm lucky and privileged to have you as friends. Thanks for letting me ride in your caravan and quarantine there when I had COVID. I look forward to decades more of friendship and watching your baby oak trees grow. Finally, to my whole family, my parents, Danny and Kathleen, and the whole extended clan, thank you for being patient over the last year while I fell off the planet. And of course, Joel and Ms. Nine. I look forward to seeing you on Saturdays again. To Joel, who came up with the idea that humaning skills are flying buttresses, thank you for great conversations about engineering organizations and making good software. And thank you for all the sandwiches. And to Ms. Nine, who was Ms. Six when I wrote the first draft of this book, thank you for your excellent ideas, drawings, and hugs. I appreciate you lummoxes. Part 1. The Big Picture. Chapter 1. What would you say you do here? The idea of a staff engineer track or technical track is new to a lot of companies. Organizations differ on what attributes they expect of their most senior engineers and what kind of work those engineers should do. Although most agree that, as Sylvia Botros has written, the top of the technical track is not just more senior seniors. We don't have a shared understanding of what it is. So we'll start this chapter by getting existential. Why would an organization want very senior engineers to stick around? Then, armed with that understanding, we'll unpack the role, its technical requirements, its leadership requirements, and what it means to work autonomously. Staff engineering roles come in a lot of shapes. There are many valid ways to do the job. But some shapes will be a better fit for some situations, and not all organizations will need all kinds of staff engineers. So I'll talk about how to characterize and describe a staff engineering role, its scope, depth, reporting structure, primary focus, and other attributes. You can use these descriptions to be precise about how you want to work, what kind of role you're looking to grow into, or who you need to hire. Finally, since different companies have different ideas of what a staff engineer should do, we'll work on aligning your understanding with that of other key people in your organization. Let's start with what this job even is. What even is a staff engineer? If the only career path was to become a manager, like in the company depicted on the left in Figure 1.1 in the bonus material, many engineers would be faced with a stark and difficult choice. Stay in an engineering role and keep growing in their craft, or move to management and grow in their careers instead. So, it's good that many companies now offer a technical or individual contributor track, allowing career progress in parallel to manager roles. The ladder on the right, in Figure 1.1 in the bonus material, shows an example. Job ladders vary from company to company, enough that it's given rise to a website, levels.fyi, that compares technical track ladders across companies. The number of rungs on these ladders varies, as do the names of each rung. You may even see the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?